Welcome to today's edition of Mental Health Matters. Today we have Cherie Barnes on the show, and she's going to talk about how to deal with grief during the holiday season. Get you something to drink and get you a snack and come on back. Good morning, Cherie. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm a little bit congested. My body is cold and it's hot. So yeah, I'm just trying to push through. I took a COVID test yesterday and the day before, so both of them came back negative. So I'm clear in that area, but I'm just trying to push through it.
I'm glad you're feeling okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I want to start off with thanking you for coming back. I really appreciate this. I know I had been reaching out to you, and girl, you are busy. Like
Yes,
I'm like,
I am.
yeah, I'm like, I thought I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just get her back. And I'm like, okay, you like, look, you gotta wait till I get through doing these other things over here. But I do appreciate you coming back. I'm really passionate about this topic, and I really enjoyed the last show we did. And I really want to bring you back, especially during the holidays. And obviously, we're going into Christmas, then we're going into New Year's.
Right.
And so I felt like this would definitely be appropriate for the Mental Health Matters show, and so that the information can get out, because I'm sure a lot of people is going to get educated and get something out of what you're going to share today. So thank you. Let's just start off you introducing yourself, and we'll just go from there.
Okay, again, thank you so much for having me again on the show. My name is Cherie Barnes, and I am a national certified counselor. I'm a licensed professional counselor in the state of Illinois. I'm a certified grief coach, and I am a grief survivor.
Nice, absolutely. And I got to add this in here, and she's also a mom.
Yeah,
She has
I
a
am a
daughter, Leon.
mom.
Absolutely. All right, well, I'm going to let you take the floor this time, because I know you got something, a presentation that you want to go off of, and then we're going to just go from there.
Okay. Well, just kind of, this is, I do a presentation in person, and it's entitled The Holidays Are Here Now What? And so, like you said, we just got over Thanksgiving. And so that was a holiday. It could have been a first holiday for someone who is experiencing grief. It could have been the second, it could have been the 30th. And
Yeah.
so no holiday is easy to deal with, especially when you are grieving. And historically, the first holidays are the most hardest because you have this empty space at the table that was set the previous year, and that person
Yes.
is no longer there. And so that is really a hard time. But what made me start doing this presentation was because a friend of mine reached out to me and says, okay, I don't even know what to do. My mom's not here. This is the first holiday without her. Mom normally hosted Thanksgiving, Christmas, all the major holidays, and this would have been the first year without her. And she was devastated, saying, I don't know what to do. And so I just kind of gave her some pointers, but those pointers in that conversation, it actually led to me doing a live workshop. And so I've not done it for a few years because of COVID,
Yeah.
but I believe I'm going to actually do it again, probably in person, because it's really something to do a presentation, and especially of the magnitude of grief. And you have people come together to talk about what happens, how they feel, how the holidays impact them. And so I'm going to do it again, but just a few quick things that someone can do is if they're preparing for that first holiday or it is that first holiday, want to be kind to themselves. A lot
Mm,
of times we're not kind to ourselves. We are doing all these other things and we are struggling. We are really having a hard time, but taking a step back, being kind to yourself is one of the things that you can do,
yeah,
especially when you are dealing with grief. And I don't know if Thanksgiving is the holiday that impacts people the most or if it's Christmas. When you think about Thanksgiving, you think about the gratitude, you think about being grateful, you think about all these things that are most important to you, and you think about people
yeah.
that are important. But like I said, I don't know if it's Christmas or if it's the Thanksgiving holidays that impact people the most, but those are certainly that holiday as we're certainly getting ready to go into, which is Christmas. And so sometimes that can be just as hard.
Yeah, it's interesting that you started off with that regarding taking a step back and really pretty much doing a self-evaluation. You know, and I'm just going to share something personal. And um, this week, I got a phone call, and somebody that I am close to or a close family member, actually it was two family members, both overdose.
Oh, wow.
And when I got the call, I was driving, and the person who called me, she was hysterical, and she was saying that, oh, this person died and she's on the floor, and instantly, Cherie, it was like my heart started pounding, my
Mm.
head started hurting. I started sweating, and all these thoughts, just started flooding my mind. And as the conversation went on, the person on the other line, she got a call saying, well, the person is not dead. She just OD'd and they took her to the hospital. And then they had another person that was with the person that OD'd in the hallway. And some of my first thoughts was, man, we finna go into Christmas. Why is this happening? Why is she doing herself like this or whatever? But I also realized that for myself, because I was having all these mixed emotions and all this stuff was going on in my mind, I need to take a step back. Literally, that's what I was thinking to myself. I'm like, Jesse, you was in a good place five
Yeah.
minutes ago. Now everything is just all over.
Yeah.
So I pulled over and I prayed,
Good.
and I asked God, Lord, give me strength, take control of my thought process, because I
Mhm.
was all over the place. And as I gather my thoughts, the calls kept coming in, of course. I didn't answer my phone right away
Yeah.
because I had to get myself together.
Yeah.
But as I gather my thoughts and God kind of got me back in that space, I had to tell the person that called me when they, call me back, like, okay, look, right now, I can't deal with this.
Mhm.
Like, I really need to, focus on my mental health, because you don't realize just how it just destroyed everything that I did today. I was just, kind of doing some errands and doing some good things. So I had to kind of like disassociate myself from the situation. So what I did was the next day, at the end of the next day, I called the person that OD who was a family member, and had a talk with her.
Okay.
But I had to kind of get myself together because it was too much.
Yeah. And especially, like I say, during the holidays, so one, you got to protect yourself. You have to practice self-care.
Yeah,
And sometimes we don't always do that. And when you have a situation like you just described, it totally shook you for that moment. And you were
yeah,
all out of sorts, grabbing for straws, trying to figure out what it is that I do next. Um,
yeah,
and I'm glad that you were in a place where you were able to step back, take
yeah,
time to reevaluate so that you can be okay. Because
yeah,
sometimes we get that news and we are devastated. It hits us like a Mack truck that
yeah,
bam, this has happened and we don't know how to deal with it. We don't know what to do. And so the fact that you did have that time to be able to take a step back, breathe, control your thoughts, get in a
mhm,
place where you could actually move on, which is great. Sometimes we don't have that, or sometimes we get that news or that it happens and we are certainly we devastated. I know
Yeah.
this time of year I've gotten an increase in calls for individuals who need counseling. I just got a call yesterday from a young woman who as soon as I said who I was, she was like, "Well, do you do grief counseling?" She immediately lost it.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I had to kind of wait for her to get a little bit of control so I can ask her a few questions. Did she want in-person counseling? Was she looking for virtual? What happened so that I can know how to move forward? Did she have support? And so once I was able to get her to calm down, she explained the story to me, but that's just an example of, it really had taken her some time to actually make the phone call
Yeah.
because she didn't want to. But her
Yeah.
family members were pressing her to say, "Hey, I think you need to actually talk to someone." And so it had taken her several weeks to actually make a phone call. And so I was the person that she called. So we did have a conversation, and I am going to be able to provide her with some resources, but just, just this holiday season, it really impacts people. Really, and I hate it because,
Yeah.
it really impacts people so much that sometimes they don't know what to do. They
Yeah.
don't know how to do.
Yeah.
So it really it is an impactful time for most people during this time.
Yeah. And I also think this time of the year, or this holiday season is a time of the year where we focus more on like family,
Mhm.
friends, loved one. We gather together with those that we love to express our gratitude, to socialize, to collaborate, talk about old memories and things like that. And I think that's probably why this time of the year is so much more challenging
Sure.
opposed to maybe I'm just talking about the
Yeah.
Halloween
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Veterans Day or whatever it may be. I mean, this holiday season it's very impactful because it goes deep in so many memories that people have, accumulated with one
Mhm.
another through the
Yeah.
years and shared things with each other, and it's hard. And that's why when this time of year to come up, people take off work and they go travel to
Yeah.
spend Thanksgiving or spend Christmas with, family and things like that. So,
And that's part of what we call a built-in support system. If you
yeah,
know that this is going to be a challenging time for yourself, you try to say, okay, let me protect myself, let me do something different, and let me actually go and travel. I know a young lady, since both her parents are now deceased, she doesn't spend holidays at home at all. And
wow,
that's what she does. She actually does travel. And when I say travel, she's out the country traveling. And
yeah,
I think that that makes her feel better because she doesn't necessarily have to spend time with immediate family, but that she can go spend time with friends, and that she can, really go and enjoy herself.
yeah. How important is it for people who lost loved ones to have a support system during this time of the year?
It is certainly imperative. If you don't have a support system during this time, you have to create one. If you don't have one, you have
Yeah.
to get one. You have to do something because this time of the year is also a high rate of suicide. And
Yes,
so if you
absolutely.
do not have someone, whether it's a church member, whether it's a coworker, whether it's a neighbor, whether it's someone that you don't necessarily talk to all the time, or that you do talk to them, and when you don't skip a beat, if you
Yeah.
don't see them all the time, just being able to reach out to them, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a
Mhm.
text message, whether it's a social media, you have to have something because you will not make it during this holiday time without extreme depression, without thinking thoughts of suicide, without trying to figure out, am I going to make it during this time? So you have to have somebody. I mean, it can be clergy. It can
Yeah.
You have to have somebody, some connection, because if you don't, a lot of times people make the wrong choices and they have unhealthy coping mechanisms that
Mhm.
they utilize if they don't.
Yeah, 100% facts. Absolutely. One of the things that when we did the last show together, I was sharing this with somebody that I know, and I was just going on and on and on and on and just talking and stuff. And what I didn't realize was this particular individual had lost their only son.
Oh, that's tough.
And as I was talking and stuff, because I was just so excited to talk about this particular show we did. And as a matter of fact, when I got the link,
Mhm.
I sent it to the person too, but I wasn't really thinking. And the person was saying to me, she said, "Well, Jesse, I don't really celebrate this time of the year because this is the time of the year that I lost my son, my only son." And I felt so guilty and convicted, felt so bad that I wasn't even thinking about that, but I was just so passionate about what we have talked about and stuff.
Yeah.
Luckily, later on, not was it? I sent you the link yesterday, right?
Yes.
So later in the day, like maybe about 8 or 9 o'clock, she ended up calling me
Okay.
and thanked me for sending her that link
Oh,
because
wow.
she said her words, it ministered to her.
Okay.
So she said it really ministered to her. And this is a African American woman, and her words was it really spoke to her because it came from somebody that was in black per se, and it really spoke to her. But for me, that just taught me a lesson because I'm one of those people, I get passionate about stuff
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I just get to going. But how important is it for us to be sensitive to the need of people who lost a loved one or grieving, whatever they're going through? How important is it for us to be sensitive with a person that's going through some or who have been through something?
You know what, it is very important that we are sensitive and thinking about, grief spans all cultures, all society, all cultures, all walks of life. And so
Yes.
it is actually even important to think about what grief looks like in other cultures. Other
Mm.
cultures, they experience grief different ways, they handle grief different ways, but I know in the African American community, and we've talked about this previously, that we don't seek counseling.
Right.
We do not, that's just something that we do. It's taboo. We are now starting to seek counseling. And I believe COVID was the catalyst for people to be able to say, okay, I think I need to double check what's going on with me. I need to talk to someone, whether
Yeah.
it's a counselor, it's a social worker, it's a psychologist. The door is now open for people to be able to take care of themselves in that manner. But sometimes culturally, you don't do it. But it's important for you to actually do it, whether it is you want your counselor to be your pastor, you want your counselor to be your
Hmm.
rabbi,
Hmm.
your shaman, whoever it is that takes care of your spiritual health. You want
Right.
to be able to connect with that person. And sometimes it is more of a sensitive nature when you actually connect with your clergy versus maybe a counselor or psychologist. But being able to make that connection with someone, one is most important, but being very sensitive and being mindful of
Hmm.
what that person's story is. And sometimes we don't know what the story is. Like you told me, you didn't know what her story was necessarily. You just
Hmm.
know that she was grieving and she's
Hmm.
experienced a loss.
Yes.
So being able to sometimes just ask questions. Hey,
Yeah.
you know what? I know this is a sensitive topic, but I'm thinking about you. I want to help. Can you tell me what it is that you need for me to do?
Yes.
Sometimes they don't know what they need. And
Yeah.
they is in whoever it is that you're speaking to, whether it's a grandma of 70 or whether it's a 21-year-old who flies a favorite aunt, or it's a 50-year-old minister. They
Yeah.
don't always know what they need because they're in the throes of their grief. They're in the throes of mourning. And so they're not sure what they need. But as a friend, being
Hmm.
able to be sensitive to that person and find out what that need may be. It could be something as simple as, hey, I'm thinking about you.
Hmm.
I'm not sure what it is that you need, but I can pick up the kids from school. I
Yeah.
can take them out to dinner,
Yes.
can bring them back. I can bring groceries. I'm going to Target, I'm making a Target run.
Mhm.
Can you just text me what it is that you think you might need?
Mhm.
Just so that you are being sensitive of their feelings and you are getting them involved in what it is that they might need during this time.
1000% accurate. I man, I mean, because we vibing here, so we're gonna talk.
Okay.
So it's an older lady. She's maybe about like 78
Okay.
years old. I know she has two sons. One son is deceased. He committed suicide, and the other son does not have any dealings with her at all. It just
Okay.
whatever happened in his childhood, he just choose not to forgive her. Whatever happened. And so I noticed with her during this time of the year, she literally texted me. I think it was Saturday,
Mhm.
and she called me, oh friend, I haven't saw you in a while, blah 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 blah. But God has really given me a heart and favor with her. So what I did is I would go over there, and this was before COVID. I
Okay.
would go over there. I would literally take her car, fill it up with gas, just help around the house. And any little thing I could do,
Yeah.
and it's stuff that's really minute, like just moving a heavy box in her garage, just whatever. And she's so grateful for that.
Mhm.
Now, I hadn't talked to her in a while. And so she texted me last Saturday and she was like, oh, friend, I haven't talked to you in a while. And she said, we need to, connect. And so another thing I do, I will always take her to Applebee's
Okay.
and I will pay for it. They're just out of respect for her or whatever. But this time she said, oh, let's get together again. It's been a while. So we're gonna meet next Saturday coming up. And she said, well, I get my social security check. And no, she didn't. She said I get a check. And
Mhm.
she said I'll be able to pay for the meal. And I thought that was interesting because I always pay for the meal.
Right.
But what that told me was it's that time of the year again.
Mhm.
And she is longing for that companionship. Someone to come over there and talk to her,
Yeah.
or somebody to maybe I'm sure there's things she got for me to do,
Right.
but I just kind of sense the loneliness
Yeah.
in the text message and stuff. So I told her I'm gonna make myself available and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I did send her yesterday. I did send her the show that we did too. So I'm just kind of waiting for her to respond because I know she's kind of maybe going through some things and stuff as well. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Her reaching out to you, one was, hey, I need this connection. I
yeah,
need to be able to connect with someone who I've connected with previously and you guys have a good connection. So she's like, okay, I need this. And the
mm,
fact that the holidays are coming up, and she's like,
yeah.
okay, I need to be around people who care about me.
Right, exactly.
And so I
100%.
think that's one of her reasons for being able to connect. But then too, you guys haven't seen each other in a while. So that's
Yeah.
just part of, her need for companionship during the holiday time.
Yes, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about well, let me so do you have another area you want to go in for the presentation first?
Yeah, you know what? I was just gonna provide some things. So like the holidays are here now. And so what can people do um so that they don't feel as down or they don't feel that they have purpose during this time? So just a few tips that people can do in order to honor their loved ones. Because yes, we are grieving, this is that season, but something as small as maybe volunteer work. You
Mm,
know, you and I have a history of volunteer work with
yes.
our prospective fraternities and sororities.
Yes.
So we're very big
Yes.
on that. But
Yes.
maybe volunteering and maybe a food depository or maybe a soup kitchen or maybe a church's closet,
Yes.
school. Volunteer your time so that it's not so um focused on your loved one. Do something else that's going to help someone else, because when you volunteer, it's from the heart.
Hmm.
And so it makes you feel good, but it's also making the person who's going to receive the services, that's going to make them feel better. And when I think about it, I saw a story on the news. There is a school here in Chicago, and the security guard, she sees everybody that comes in, everybody comes out, and she noticed that some young people didn't have hats, gloves, and scarves. And
Mhm.
so the school, it made the news. And so they're doing a push for people to volunteer or to come and bring them items that kids may need. You
Yeah.
know, if the kids are cold, and as the principal said, if their basic needs are not met, essential needs, then the kids are not going to be able to learn. And so being able to make that donation to that school, and it could be a new coat, a hat, some gloves, or whatever it is, make a donation to that school, and or maybe actually go and volunteer. And when I think about a donation, something that that's really important is, especially if that person passed away from some type of ailment or whatever. Was it cancer, or was it kidney disease, or was it sickle cell? Maybe make a donation
Mm.
in their name to that particular organization, so that you know the money that you provide in that donation, whatever that amount may be, it may go towards research, it may go towards helping people with transportation. It may help supplies, whatever it is, breast cancer.
Mhm.
Make an actual donation to a cause that maybe that you feel strongly about, or the person that's deceased who maybe they have experienced. Make that donation
Yeah.
to
Yes.
that organization, because you know your dollars, your time, your energy, it's gonna go a long way.
Yes.
Um, Prayer,
Mhm.
and you may not think that, okay, prayer is it, but these are things that if you pray for that person who's lost someone, we both know that prayer works.
Mhm.
And so praying for that person, praying that God provides some comfort, praying that someone actually comes to them during this time of year, and they, hey, I want to do something for you, I just want to be with you, I want to spend time with you. Making sure that you pray for the comfort and the care of that person, because like we said, it's not a good time for not everybody,
Yeah.
but maybe some of those things, and just being thankful, being grateful. Maybe do a gratitude jar.
Mhm.
Go to a Dollar Tree or wherever, a craft store, get you some little pieces of paper and just write things that you're grateful for, and maybe give that jar to somebody else, so that these are things that you're thinking about in terms of being grateful. Share that jar with someone, so as they are thinking, I don't have anything to be thankful for during this time, I don't have anything to be grateful for. If they go in that jar and they reach out and get that sheet of paper, and that sheet of paper may say, I'm thankful for life, I'm
Yeah.
thankful for my health and strength,
Mhm.
whatever it is that that piece of paper says. Just really indulge yourself into what those strips of paper are saying, and that will just kind of give you a sense of, you are not probably in a good place right now, but this gratitude jar is going to help me.
I like that a lot. And obviously that's, to me, that's very, very important. It's a very powerful statement that you may not be in a good place now, but you do have things that you could be thankful for.
Absolutely,
You
absolutely.
know, very, very powerful. Because, you know, I've heard people say, so another person's trash per se is another person's treasure. So
Yeah,
the things that you may deem as not good, or I may not have as much as money, or you know, I may not have a car right now, but you may have a family.
yeah.
You know, your health may be good. You know what I'm saying? So very, very, very powerful. And I myself have to, when things don't go the way I want to in life sometimes, because I'm very strong-willed and I like things a certain way,
Yes, yes, yes.
you know, I have to remind myself, and I do that self-talk, that Lord, you have blessed me and
Mhm.
beyond what I even imagine. I didn't even
Yes,
see my life
yes.
where it is today. Trust and believe me on that, you know, especially being in college to where I'm
Yeah,
at now. I'm like, oh Lord,
yeah.
like, yes, you know. So I have to remind myself of that and not get so focused on the things that I can't control per se.
Mhm.
So yeah. What's your next point? You
This is something that people do it, but they don't do it. They don't necessarily always accept the loss. It's hard to
Ooh,
accept the person that's passed away. I mean, you look back over your life and you're like, okay, I can't believe they're gone. Sometimes it takes people longer than others to
Hmm.
really accept the loss, the fact that they're really not here, but saying their name, making sure that you keep their memory in your forefront. Sometimes people they crawl back into their mind and they don't want to think about it, don't want to talk about it, they don't want to think that this person is actually gone, and they're continuing to live a life that they're still here.
Yeah.
Physically, they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
Everything else, we know that we will see them again if that's your belief system.
Hmm.
You will see them again, you'll spend time with them, you will celebrate, you all these different things, but sometimes it's hard to accept that. And so making sure that you continue to say their name, continue to keep their memory alive. And
Hmm.
so what that could be, continuing to volunteer
Yeah.
at a breast cancer organization or something like that, because their memories are always going to be near and dear to your heart. But just
Hmm.
making sure that one, you really do accept the fact that physically they're not here anymore, but we
Yeah.
know that that part is most hard to do. But just making sure that you take care of yourself even during that time, even when it's hard to accept that they're not here. You
Yeah.
want to pick up the telephone and call them and say, hey, I,
Yeah.
it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do that. And I know sometimes we don't accept that loss.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that we acknowledge that one, there is a loss and that it may take time and that we will always have our memories, but we want to make sure that we acknowledge them so that they are not forgotten.
Yeah, I'm sitting here listening at you. You definitely know your stuff. I'm gonna tell you that right
Okay.
now. No, you do. Because I've taken a lot of classes, meaning at work, workshops or
Okay.
whatever. And I always keep the material,
Yeah.
whether it's a PowerPoint,
Yeah.
um, they may give us a book, whatever. I always keep the material because I feel like for me, at least, I like to go back and
Yeah.
refresh. And I that's just the type of person I am. But you talked about the volunteering, and that's so important for people who are grieving, like you said, because it gives them a sense of purpose.
Yep.
Once you start, going out there and volunteering and doing things to help somebody else, you kind of you don't forget, but you kind
Right.
of like walking a little, taking a few steps away from what's keeping you down and
Oh
keeping
yeah.
you bound. And so I love that portion. And also mentioned about acceptance. I
Okay.
think that's probably the most challenging thing for
Oh
a
yeah.
person who is dealing with the loss of a loved one, is
Yeah.
accepting the fact that they're gone, because you want to hold on to this memory. You don't want to accept the fact that they're gone, and whatever the place may be. But once they get into that place where they could start to let go a little bit, then I think things will start to heal in a slow pace in their lives and stuff. So that's very important. So thank you for sharing those two
Mhm.
points.
And then you know what, Jesse, as I'm sitting here thinking, we need to set the expectation. Um, when a person is grieving, they're very vulnerable.
Yes.
And so we oftentimes don't know how to approach them. We
Mhm.
oftentimes don't know, one, what it is that they need, because they may not know what they need,
Mhm.
but we need to make sure that we set the expectation of, I want to care for you in
Yeah.
some way. I just don't know how. And so
Yes.
during this time, a person who's grieving, they need to sometimes turn down those invitations because they may not feel up to being around family or friends, but make sure they
Yes.
check in with that one person, that
Yeah.
one somebody, so that they can say, hey, I'm not coming to the party, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that that person at least know, someone will at least know that they're fine. They just don't want to be around all of these people. And so, two, telling people how to take care of you, telling people how to care for you.
Mhm.
We don't always know that I don't want to be bothered right
Mhm.
away. We could, in the beginning of that day, I'm fine, I could do it. But as the hours go on and we're preparing to go to that event or whatever, we decide I don't want to do it. Sometimes people don't know how to care for you. You have to tell people,
Yeah.
How to care for me during this time. I'm vulnerable. This is what I'm experiencing. Don't do me this way, or please do something different because this is what I need at the moment. And
Yeah.
especially if they can verbalize that expectation, let that person share it with you. If they cannot, then that's different. Then they may need a little bit more coaching, a little bit more hand holding during
Yeah.
the time. But setting the expectations about this is what I want to do, this is what I don't want to do
Yes.
is really important because
Yes.
we don't always know.
Yeah. Once again, man, like I wish you can really like I have so many um scenarios
Mhm.
or experience or situations that I'm sorry, that could be applicable to what you're talking
Okay.
about. And that's true, because I know sometimes, if, say for example, if someone has lost a loved one,
Mhm.
and the family expectation may be, we all need to come over here this day, this time. We need to meet every week because this
Yep.
was Big Mama gathering. She loved cooking and have this gathering every
Yep.
Sunday at 11 o'clock.
Yep.
And you might find that person who may be dealing with grief differently
Yes.
than the family members.
Yes.
And so that person, they may not want to be bothered with nobody.
Yep.
But then you get the family um, may tend to antagonize them for
Mhm.
not wanting to come over
Yeah.
to this weekly
Yeah.
gathering.
Yeah. That
You
is so
know,
true. And it happens all the time.
yeah,
Like you said, we all grieve different. Some
yeah,
people grieve where they're okay. On the
yes,
outside, it seems like they're okay. But
yeah,
we don't know behind those closed doors. We don't know if they're using drugs. We don't know if they're abusing alcohol. We don't know if they're excessively eating. We don't know if they're
yes,
not eating at all,
right,
because these are things that people do, like I said, and those are really unhealthy coping mechanisms. But I think everyone who grieves, they grieve very differently. And it's
yes,
not a textbook thing where, okay, I'm extremely sad today, or I'm not gonna eat today, or I have this anxiety. I feel like I'm having panic attacks. I mean, there's all these different things, all these different symptoms that people have when it comes to grief.
yeah,
Always know what that is or what it looks like for someone. Someone could be totally okay on the outside. They're going to work, they're doing extracurricular activities, they're volunteering places, they're doing all this stuff. But when they get home and peel off that layer of the day, as
yeah,
they're taking their clothes off and preparing for the evening, they could be literally in their bathroom crying in the shower. I mean, they could just be, it could be uncontrollable because they felt like they had to be strong all day, put
yeah,
this body of armor on. But then when they get home around no one else, they're falling apart.
yeah, exactly. So we pledged in fraternal organizations, and one of the guys that pledged with me, name was Hewitt. He was number 10,
Mhm.
our anchor. And I had not had any communication with him, when I say in years. Maybe at the time I probably hadn't talked to him in maybe like easily 10 or 12 years.
Oh, wow.
And he ended up, so his daughter ended up applying for a school here in the California area.
Okay.
And so him and his wife and his daughters, they came down or whatever, and he ended up getting my phone number from one of the other fraternity brothers. And he called me up and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm in town. I want to see you, blah blah." And of course, I was like very excited to hear from him.
Yeah.
And I ended up we set a day and a time, which was 2 days later. So I ended up just driving out to a part of California called Vacaville, which is not far from my house at all. We took pictures. His wife and daughter, they kind of left us alone. We spent like 2 hours together just taking pictures, reminiscing about food, laughing, joking, and stuff like that. When he left and went back to Illinois, he ended up passing away maybe like a month or two later.
Wow.
Now, I didn't realize how that affected me at the time. Honestly, God, I really didn't know how, like, what was really going on with me. you know. And so I was scrolling through my phone after I got the call and stuff like that. I was scrolling through my phone and I was just looking at all these pictures we was taking. And then I had this urgency not to look at the pictures. And I'm telling myself, like, why not? This one, I'm asking myself, why? But I realized, and I'm telling you, Cherie, this is a true story. I was grieving and then I didn't even know it. I
Yeah,
couldn't even look at the text message, the
yeah,
picture. It was crazy,
yeah,
you know. But I didn't know what was going on with me at the time. And then I started thinking, like, man, God, like I hadn't talked to him in like 10 some years.
yeah,
Why now? Was he supposed to see me? Was I supposed to see him before he like
yeah.
all these things is going through my mind. And it did take a toll on me for a while. It took a toll on me for a very long time, but I didn't know that it was impacting me as much as it did.
It's like it's this long lost friend I've not seen for ages. I've
Yeah,
been wanting to have connection with them. I've been wanting to hang out,
yeah,
didn't have the opportunity, didn't know how to make the connection. And
yeah,
then it came to you, and then
yeah,
you were able to make the connection. And then you spent time with this person and had a really good time. And then it's like all of a sudden they're not here. Of
yeah,
course, like we're not expecting like some stuff to happen like that, because sometimes it happens so quickly, we
yes,
have no control over it. We have
yes,
no idea, you
yes.
know,
Oof,
wow,
yeah,
blink of an eye, you're here today and gone tomorrow. And so
yeah,
that's why people always say, tell your loved ones that you love them,
yeah,
while they're here, make plans, spend time with them, because we really just don't know how much time we do have left. And so one of the things it is do stuff big.
yeah,
How they say, if you don't do it big, go home.
yeah,
There's a
yeah,
dream that you have, make sure you take the steps to make that dream happen. If there's a place that you want to visit, make sure you figure out how to do it, because we don't know what our lives may bring. We have plans, and
yes,
we want to do all these plans, but sometimes we don't get a chance to do them. you know
yes,
so just being able to be connected to people, and really just try to make the most of our lives and situations and things like that, I think is important, not just for this holiday season, because this is just one holiday season that we're going to be in, and that
mhm,
grief is going to impact us. But other holidays that come up, they're going to affect us just the same.
yes, absolutely. I'm going to ask you a personal question. I know you got started with this because you had your own situation and stuff
Mhm.
like that with your loved
Yep.
one. Do
Yep.
you find yourself thinking about him a lot? Like, do you find yourself going down memory lane? And if so, like,
All the time, and it
yeah,
will be 6 years
yeah,
next month. I was in my office at work and I was cleaning up. They came to change the carpet. So I have new carpet in my office, and I had my stuff still in boxes. And I was going through boxes and I found his obituary, and I had
yeah,
to kind of sit for a
yeah,
minute. And
yeah,
I, I was like, do I want to open it up? Do I not? And so I
yeah,
opened up, looked through the pictures, all that
yeah,
stuff, and looked at the pictures that were in the obituary with he and I. And I
yeah,
was like, wow, I
yeah,
cannot believe you're gone.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it had me go back down memory lane again. Like, I can't believe it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, I do
yeah,
all the time, because
yeah,
I want to say, okay, I want to think about what life would have been like had he still been here.
yes, absolutely.
Where would I be at this point? Would I be a Mrs.? Would I not be a Mrs.?
Yes.
Will I be living in a different location? So yeah, I think about that stuff all the time, probably more times than I want to admit, you know,
Yeah.
just kind
Yeah.
of during my day and just different things around the house and different places that I go. Yep.
Yeah. But isn't it interesting when things happen in our lives that's tragic, how it ushers us into a place where we're now exposed or open to make an impact on other people's lives. Because I'm thinking about what you're saying. Now, had he still would have been here, will we be and you be having this conversation right now?
Probably not.
You know what I'm saying?
Probably not. And I really say that, I tell people all the time, I am an author by accident, because that was never an aspiration of my life to be an author.
Yeah.
Never even thought about it.
Yeah.
just so happened to be strolling on Facebook, and this girl said, "Hey, I have this class, very inexpensive, write an ebook." And really, that's how my journey actually begun, but never thought about writing a book ever. I'm like, me a writer, me a author. I don't even like English like that. So
Yeah,
no.
exactly. I feel you on that. No, man. Well, what do you think that you would have been a counselor, grief counselor?
Yes,
You okay?
yes.
You think
I
you kind
would
of
have definitely still been a counselor, no holds barred.
okay,
Dream of ours was to open up, get a business.
okay.
And one section of the business suite would have been my counseling office, and the other one would have been his business office.
That's
Um,
awesome.
so that was a dream. So that always would have been, no
Yes,
matter what.
that's
But
awesome.
grief work and counseling people and helping them go through this season of their life if they're grieving, I really don't think if he'd have been here, I still would have done it. But I just thank God that he gave me that ministry, because this is something that it was born out of my own grief, my own mourning, my own loss. And so, this is just something that, he says, "Hey, this is what you're gonna do." Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely.
And so I'm doing it.
Absolutely.
Doing
100%. And you're
it.
doing
Mhm.
it well. Very
Thank you so
well.
much.
Very well. Awesome. I love it. Love it. Love it. Now, I just wanted to kind of incorporate that question in there. So when people watch this show,
Sure.
they may not even see the first show, but if they watch this particular segment,
Yeah.
because this is geared towards holiday, they
Right.
can kind of know a little bit about your story and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So I think it's important. Also, for me at least, people who have been through things
Mhm.
in life and tend to talk to me or minister to me, I'm more receptive.
Mhm.
It's more impactful for me because I'm like, okay, you can relate to what I've been through or what I'm going through,
Absolutely.
so yeah. Okay. What's your next point?
My next point is, and people are going to see this not just during the holiday time, they're going to see it any other time. But
Yeah.
I just want to say that if people feel like they have to see somebody, please do not be ashamed to, Google therapist near
Mhm.
me or counselor near me or clergy who helps with grief, or just period. Make
Yeah.
sure you do reach out, because there are people who will help you. There
Yeah.
is support out here. And if you don't want to talk to friends or family, that's fine. Just
Yes.
make sure you talk to someone, because this is something that you cannot go alone. You have to have somebody to help you. Like, you just want to have somebody to hold your hand, because
Yes.
this is a heavy topic. And
Yeah.
like I said, especially during the holidays, suicide rates are very high. And so we want to make sure that if you're thinking of if you have suicidal thoughts, if you think you can't go on, I mean, I tell people all the time, if you feel like you just can't take it no more, go to the nearest emergency room
Mhm.
and tell them, "This is what's happening with me." Do not be ashamed that you feel like, "I can't take this no more," or "I can't do this." When I work with my clients, especially my clients that are virtual, I do ask them, because of course I'm not sitting right in front of them. And
Yeah.
so as a check, I need to make sure that they are okay. And that, if sometime or something is going on within the counseling session, I need to figure out kind of what's going on. So I want to know where the closest hospital is from their home. I want to know who's their emergency contact. In case the internet goes on, I need to have a phone number so that
Yeah.
I can continue our counseling session. And even sometimes I do that even with my clients that are in person, depending on kind of what's going on with them while we're talking. "Hey, I just kind of do a check. I just need to know how you're feeling, what's going on,
Mhm.
before you got here, what happened? I've not seen you for a week or
Yeah.
two. Just give me a check-in, let me know kind of what's going on."
Yes, that's very, very
It's
important.
important. It's
Yeah.
important that we do those check-ins, because I mean, and just because you ask somebody that question, are they suicidal? Are they homicidal? That doesn't mean that they are thinking about it.
Hmm.
but you want to make sure that you ask because you
Hmm.
don't know what the state of mind that person is before they get to you.
Yeah, and you can actually be saving their life.
Mhm.
You know,
Absolutely.
just asking a question alone
Yeah.
may put them in a mind state that somebody actually care
Yeah.
about me. You know,
Absolutely.
so that's
Absolutely.
important. So that people can be aware of what some of the triggers are. I know for myself, it's certain songs.
Hmm.
Like if I'm in a gym working out or doing some, and a song will come on that I haven't heard for years and years and years, that's associated with
Hmm.
somebody that I lost. Like I lost my
Yes.
brother years ago when I was in college. And certain like Tupac songs, he loved Tupac. And if I'm in a gym and they play one of his songs, it just automatically, I started literally just like fixating on my brother, what he would have been doing if he was still living,
Right.
and
Right.
just all
Right.
these thoughts and stuff, you know. So I
Mhm.
try to really stay away from certain music,
Yeah.
which I do because I just I need to take care of myself emotionally,
Absolutely.
make sure I'm in a good place and stuff.
Yep.
You talked about certain foods. My brother and I, even to this day, I am addicted to popcorn.
Okay.
Love it, love it, love it. Like, everybody know me. Even Max, the executive producer, he'll tell you, I love popcorn, and so
It's
he
my
and my
favorite
brother
food.
did too, huh?
My favorite food.
Oh my God, love it, love it, love it. Especially when I go to the movies, I have to 3 layers of butter. That's how I have to have it, and I
Yeah.
just you know, but yeah. So it's certain things that are triggers, and I wanted people to really know those things because sometimes they may not even realize the
Yeah.
location and So you talked about perfume too, and I will say this before we end. I remember when I first started taking the class called Wellness Recovery Action Plan, is RAP. And so I became a certified facilitator, whatever. And I remember this girl coming in to me. She smelled extremely good to me.
Mhm.
And she had also really good smell of perfume. But the girl that was sitting next to her, it bothered her. And I remember her calling the facilitator because we was being trained to become a facilitator at the
Okay.
time. I remember her calling the facilitator, and she went outside with her. So she was telling her, like, the perfume that the girl has on next to me is triggering me.
Oh, wow.
And so when she came back in, the facilitator kind of, did some housekeeping rules and just kind of was letting us know like certain things trigger people. At the time, I wasn't as understanding as I am now. 'Cause I'm like,
Sure.
wow, it smells good and blah, blah,
Right.
blah, blah.
Right.
But
Right.
as time went on and we got deep, deep into this class,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
understood like, wow, okay, yes, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Although it didn't bother me, but that was somebody else's trigger,
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah. Let me see. I think we're running out of time. I really enjoyed this show, this particular show too. We got 2 minutes left. So
Okay.
anything you want to say before we wrap up in these 2 minutes?
Yeah, I just want to kind of discuss what's the difference between grieving and mourning, because
Mm.
sometimes
Ooh.
we don't necessarily know or there is a difference. And so when we think about grieving, grieving is, like the pain, the anxiety, the sadness, the pain that we experience. And mourning is the outward expression of those things. And so I know for myself, when I was grieving my loss, social media was kind of my thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't post pictures, but I would post like short stories or different things that I was feeling about the loss of my loved one. And
Yeah.
so I think I had somebody hit me in my inbox on Facebook, was like, okay, I need to talk to you
Yeah.
because I really was having a hard time. I'm a therapist and I'm like, I could do this.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it as a therapist. I
Yeah.
needed to get my own help,
Yeah.
but I was really posted on social media and stories and just different tidbits of life and different things, and that they saw that and they was like, okay, no, we need you to pull back from social media. We need you not to post those things because we clearly can see that you are in pain,
Yeah.
and it hurts us because we are your friends and your loved ones. We don't want to see you doing that, and so we need for you to not do that.
Yes.
So that's what made me say, okay, I ain't got this like I
Yeah.
thought. Let
Yes.
me reach out to someone. And so that made me seek my own counselor. And so when I sought my own counselor, I had to have someone that was specific to grief. I know counselors are trained in everything, and you can see any type of client with your training.
Yes.
But I did not want that. I wanted someone specific to grief. And so the therapist that I saw for over 2 years, she used to work in hospice.
Yeah.
And that was important to me once I actually met her and learned her story. She had
Yeah.
lost her husband and lost another child, and she worked in hospice for many years. And so that's what I wanted. I wanted someone who really understood my sense of loss, my sense of grief, and someone who had experienced it for themselves. And
Yes.
so that's kind of what I did when I looked at, I want this person to know exactly how I feel. And
Yes.
not to say that as a counselor, I see people all the time, and I don't necessarily have to know what they are experiencing, but with my training, I know how to empathize and sympathize and meet them where they are and begin to help them, help walk them through whatever it is that they're going through and provide support. I can do that with my eyes closed, but I really wanted someone who had experienced grief. And so that's how I began to find my own counselor, but just kind of wanted to make the distinction between mourning and grieving because there is a difference. And sometimes we get those confused.
I appreciate you doing that because, in all honesty, I didn't know that was a difference.
Yes.
I really didn't. That's when you said, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to learn something new.
Yeah, it's a difference.
Yes. All right, Cherie, thank you so much. I really, really,
Thank you.
really, really, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule and just coming back on here and just sharing and your not just your personal journey, but just the wealth of knowledge and information that you have. We're just sharing it with the community. I know people are going to be blessed by this. I feel like people are going to be healed. I feel like people are going to really get something out of this so that they can deal with whatever it is that they're dealing with.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
Thank you.
That's it for this edition of Mental Health Matters. If you enjoyed this particular show, if you would like a copy of the show, or if you would like to be a guest on our show, please dial 916-366-4600. Thank you.